What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Today it is Lazy Daze Tubby, and I'm back at it again doing some more history reaction for you guys today on my solo channel, and I'm going to be doing some more Sabaton history for you guys today, and it is the last battle, the strangest fight of World War II, episode 85. I'm really looking forward to finding out what Nindy Idol and the guys on this production have in store for us. They do some really good content, so like I said, I am really just looking forward to it. If you haven't already, head over to their page. A link is going to be in the description box down below. If you guys are enjoying our content and my content over here, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, join any of the socials just down below here, and we are just going to jump straight into this one.
Wait. In World War II, Germans and Americans fighting together? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so interesting.
During the beginning of the end for the Third Reich in World War II, the Allies planned the invasion of the German homeland. Rumors had long circulated about an impregnable Alpine fortress stretching all over the northwestern part of Austria, into which Hitler and his loyal followers would retreat if the war ever came to the Reich itself. The Allies were concerned about deep underground bunkers blasted into the high mountains which could stockpile guns and supplies. Such a fortress could prolong the war for several months. Most of their fears were, of course, unfounded. But deep within northern Tyrol, there actually stood such an old fortress.
Interesting.
Schloss Itter had been a medieval castle. Its foundations can be traced back to the 13th century.
Is this? It looks familiar. It looks like I've seen that before. Is that where Hitler used to go on vacation, by the Alps? Because he used to have a holiday home by the Alps. I'm sure he did. So is that where he used to go? Did he get it fortified?
The castle had fallen into ruin until it was rebuilt in the 19th century. In 1943, it had been seized by the SS and incorporated into the Dachau concentration camp system.
Oh, okay, maybe
the
not.
The old fairy tale-like castle became a prison for high-profile prisoners. Some of France's most influential politicians and generals, like Edouard Daladier, Maurice Gamelin, Michel Clemenceau, and Paul Reynaud, were even held there. By the end of April 1945, the noose was tightening around the Germans. The Red Army marched deep into Hungary from the east. German forces had surrendered in Italy to the south, and the Western Allies advanced towards Tyrol from the west. What was left of the shattered remnants of the German army flooded back into Austria, and Tyrol grew full of the last die-hard Wehrmacht and Waffen-SS troops, whose mere presence would keep many other soldiers from surrendering. But there was also another group there that is often overlooked, the Austrian resistance. After the Anschluss in 1938, there had always been a number of native Austrians who stood against the Nazis. For many years, they could only offer passive and non-violent opposition. But with the Allies just a few miles away, they could finally act. They provided valuable intelligence about the German defenses and directed the army spearheads through the Inn River Valley. But their most important goal was to protect the Austrian citizens from bloody reprisals by the SS. Already people were hanging white flags and Austrian flags out from their windows, and the SS did not hesitate to open fire on these defeatists.
The SS really just didn't give a fuck. It was extermination. Disgusting.
Inside Castle Itter was dark. The French VIPs, very important prisoners, feared that the SS guards would rather execute them than release them to the Allies. But then on May the 4th, after the last commander of Dachau shot himself in his quarters and the SS officer in charge took that as his cue to disappear, the castle was suddenly empty. Reynaud and Clemenceau took a stroll out of the castle gates and into Itter village, but quickly turned around. The roads were still full of patrolling SS troops, setting up roadblocks and machine gun posts. Back in the castle, the French VIPs discussed their situation. It was clear that they were still trapped, and that it probably wouldn't be long until the SS reminded itself of their existence. So they came up with a plan. First, they would sew together a French tricolor banner and hang it from the inner walls to alert Allied aircraft to their presence. Next, they would get in contact with a rather unlikely member of the Austrian underground resistance. SS Captain Kurt Siegfried Schrader could have played the stereotypical Nazi villain in a Tarantino movie.
Wow.
Highly decorated, he had served as a bodyguard in Hitler's headquarters. After being badly wounded in desperate fighting in France, he broke with the Fuhrer and defected to the resistance. Schrader promised to help, but he knew that his authority could only buy them some time. If any higher-ups in the SS decided to storm the keep and kill everyone inside, his rank could not prevent it.
Yeah.
All agreed that only the quick arrival of the U.S. Army would save their lives.
It's of May, he's just around the corner. 1945, the furious rains at its end. Jenny at the gates, as the SS open fire. There's no time to waste, the final battle's begun.
They sent out the Czech cook to establish contact, but halfway to the American lines, in the town of Vergel, he was nearly caught by a patrol, but being pulled into a nearby house saved his life. His savior was Major Joseph Gangl. Gangl was a career soldier in the Wehrmacht since 1935. From the war's beginning to Stalingrad, Normandy, and Bastogne, Gangl had seen everything, but he too had returned a disillusioned man, and Schrader chose to betray his oath to the Nazis. Now, we don't quite know how such decorated soldiers gained the trust of the resistance, but at the moment, it mattered little.
Okay.
Gangl and the Czech cook set out to find the Americans. Driving just a few miles cross-country, they suddenly spotted several Sherman tanks in a small village. Slamming on the brakes, Gangl, still wearing his uniform, got out, hands in the air. He was led to the nearest U.S. officer, Captain John Kerry Lee. After listening to their story, Lee radioed headquarters, and after a quick exchange, the 27-year-old former college football star from New York enthusiastically declared they were going on a rescue mission. Lee's unit was part of the 12th Armored Division, which now, after Hitler's death, was not quite as enthusiastic as their captain to risk their lives fighting die-hard Nazis in the final hours of the European War. Lee, however, was determined and set off with his ad hoc task force of 7 Shermans. His own tank, the Sabaton Jenny, took the lead. At the next river, however, only 4 of his tanks were able to cross a wooden bridge before it gave way. His force reduced, the column rumbled on. Arriving in Vergel, they were warmly received by the Austrian resistance and joined by a group of German soldiers.
Wow, you lost 4 of your tanks, you're still going there, but lucky enough you have support of the resistance.
Loyal to Gangl. Although the Waffen-SS had left Vergel, Lee left 2 of his tanks behind to support the resistance in case they came back. The 2 remaining Shermans, Sabaton Jenny and Boschbuster, moved on with the Germans in tow. Close to Itter village, they had to cross another bridge, which had already been wired with explosives. Lee ordered Boschbuster to stay behind and guard their only route back. Without further incident, Sabaton Jenny and around a dozen American and German soldiers arrived at the castle gates.
Wow.
While the men went inside, Lee ordered Sabaton Jenny to turn around to block the entrance. In the castle, perhaps one of the most unlikely scenes of the war took place. An American Army captain, a Waffen-SS officer, and a German Army major made a plan to defend French hostages from loyal Nazis in a medieval Austrian castle.
Wow. Wow. An American, a German, and a Nazi. All working together to save French people. How are stories like this left from World War II? There must be so many stories like this from all the wars that we just don't know.
I know. Schrader reported seeing several Waffen-SS trucks moving around carrying anti-tank guns. Lee, knowing that American reinforcements were on their way, ordered the French prisoners to seek shelter in the keep while the soldiers took guard at the castle walls. They were only lightly armed with rifles and submachine guns, but the firepower of Sabaton Jenny would give them a chance.
Okay.
Lee went to bed, but it would be a short night. At 4 a.m., he awoke to the sound of gunfire. A German MG-42 was firing at the gatehouse, and Jenny's .50 caliber was answering. Tracer rounds were flying through the dark as the men on the western wall suddenly spotted SS men carrying grappling hooks. The SS was clearly looking for a way in, but the fire from the defenders had spoiled their plans so far. Gangle, Schrader, and their Castle Krauts kept them at bay, firing from the upper floors while the Americans defended the gatehouse. Trust between the Germans and Americans had been shaky at best, but now none of them would survive if the SS got in.
The one thing that I always like about these history videos is it makes me want to go re-listen to the song afterwards, so I'm definitely going to do that.
Shortly after 8:30, things got real. They spotted a 20mm anti-aircraft cannon and an 88mm gun northwest of the castle, with truckloads of Waffen-SS soldiers arriving. The first 88 shells smashed into the castle, and the whole structure shook. Then a staccato of 20mm shells began blasting small gaps into the walls. Things went from bad to worse. Besotten Jenny rocked violently backwards. Seeing fire spurting from the engine access grills, the crew jumped out of the burning Sherman tank just in time before a second anti-tank shell sealed its fate. With their chances of survival now seriously reduced, the French VIPs took up arms and joined the defenders at the gatehouse. The elderly Reynaud, France's prime minister early in the war, fired his MP-40 through the open window, and Gangle ran over to help. But he didn't get far. The man who had seen the European part of the war from the beginning to its final battle was killed by a sniper. With more 88mm rounds smashing into the castle walls, however, there was no time to mourn him. Waffen-SS soldiers were moving up the slopes, pressing home the attack. With the radio blown to pieces, Schrader directed Lee to the castle telephone. Reaching the resistance back in Wörgl, Lee yelled into the telephone that they were in need of immediate assistance or they would soon be shelled to pieces. Then another round exploded against the castle, and the line went dead. Germans, Frenchmen, and Americans fought for their lives, but ammunition was running low. With Gangle dead and several Wehrmacht soldiers wounded, they were close to being overrun. Lee began pulling the defenders off the walls and deeper into the keep as he saw a squad of Waffen-SS close to the gatehouse. As they brought a Panzerfaust
what
into
are they going to do?
a sudden rattle of heavy machine guns tore into them. The cavalry had arrived, and just in the nick of time, with the additional firepower of the American tanks, the battle took a decisive turn. The remaining SS troops quickly dispersed into the woods, and the castle was saved. All the French VIPs had survived, thanks to one of the least likely alliances of this or any other war. Marcus Linke, who does a lot of the research for these episodes, and I cannot understand why there is not a major movie about this story.
Yeah. Why is there not a major... Like, I was thinking the same thing. How is there not a movie about this? This is absolutely outrageous. And that was the end of that episode. The last battle. The strangest fights of World War II. I can't believe that story. It's absolutely outrageous. I would definitely watch a movie if a movie was made about it. Definitely let me know what you guys think and if you would watch a movie if they did make one as well. If you guys enjoyed my reaction, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, but I will catch you in the next video.